Welcome everybody for the Monday, February 5th, 2024 council meeting. And the pledge allegiance.
Dear Father God, thank you so much for the blessings we have within our city. We ask for your continued hand of grace over our police department, our fire department, our service department, and our administration, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Raleigh, roll call, please. Everybody's mic on, please, too.
Mr. Hamer,
Here.
Mr. Scholes,
Here.
Mr. Smolik,
Here.
Ms. Simons,
Here.
Mr. Ziegler,
Here.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Here.
Ms. Grazia,
Here.
Okay, on to the reading and approval of the minutes of the January 16th, 2024 work session. Looking for a motion in a second.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any questions, changes? Ms. Raleigh, roll call.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Okay, on to the minutes of the January 16th, 2024 council meeting. A motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any changes? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, on to department reports. Chief Hutton.
Thank you, Mr. Smolik. I'll be brief tonight. The January report was sent out. 124 calls in January, another pretty busy month for us. Other than that, I have no other report, and I'm open for any questions.
Any questions? Chief Hutton? Thanks, Chief. Chief McAllister.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to go over some of the statistics in our annual review. First, I want to thank our men and women here for the tremendous job they did last year. A lot of the data that we're now seeing is indicative of what we're doing out in the community through the services that we're providing. Some of the areas I really wanted to point out was the reduction in traffic crashes from 22 to 23. The reduction in burglaries, which we had 0 last year that were reported, although we did have 1 from the previous years. Our business checks is data that I look at to see what officers are doing and tracking through the night to make sure that all of our businesses are being checked. The CPI cards, we see a reduction from starting that program in 22. We issued 138. We only issued 88 in 23. We also found less open garage doors, less open windows, less open doors on businesses. All those numbers decreased significantly because of this program. Our disturbances were down. The extra patrol checks were up. Our follow-up investigations were up substantially. Our fraud reports were down, I think, because of all the community outreach we've been doing at the senior center and other locations. In 21, we had 86. In 22, we had 49. And then in 23, we only had 39 reported. So those are all good numbers. And then the training and other things that we're doing. You can look and see open buildings, the special attentions, the thefts were down to 21 from 31 over the previous year. Traffic stops were up 1,000, mostly due in part to requests from the community to come out and do extra traffic patrols and things in their areas in order to increase visibility and enforce traffic laws. And a lot of that was due to a lot of the construction and things that were going on in the city through the summer as well. Pretty much across every measurable metric, the work that these men and women are doing every day is impacting the city in a positive way. And I can't sit here more proud of the job that they do, the sacrifices they make. And part of this, highlighting this, is to also kind of address some community concerns that we've been hearing about basically how I'm running the department, things that I'm doing that people may or may not agree with. And if we looked at our traffic enforcement area, we've had residents over the past 8 weeks that have been calling me complaining about the fact that they've received citations, asking me to tear citations up, telling me that that's the proper procedure and that's what we're going to do. And the part of this is these recommendations have come from them saying that this is what their council people told them to do. And in terms of procedures, that's not the proper procedure. They've also advised me that they've been told to come here in an open setting and discuss being stopped and why, and to have me make an account for it. But I don't think that that's the best idea. And I'm not saying that anybody did any of these things, that this is just what I'm hearing, and it's been from multiple people. A lot of these cases are still pending in court. It's a public record. I can't get up here and discuss people's cases with them in an open session like this. The best advice is to just ask them to contact me directly so we can sit down and have a conversation and try to figure out what's going on. The OVI enforcement was up last year substantially. We went from 30 OVIs in 22 to 71 in 2023. Some of the complaints are that we're targeting residents, that we're parking in bar parking lots, and that we're chasing cars out of bars, and it's just not the case. If we look at our total OVIs, 12 of those were residents. That's 16% of our total OVIs that we had to take in custody. We don't look at these things lightly, but if there's a non-negotiable, driving under the influence, it's going to be one of those for this police department because of the damage it causes every year, the injury it causes, the property damage. It's just not something that we can look the other way on. We've been asked, why are we stopping people for driving without their headlights on at night and then finding that they're OVI? Or, my headlight was out, then you arrested me for OVI. Or, we can't account for the reason that we're stopping people. We're stopping people with probable cause or legitimate reasons to make traffic stops. So I just want the community as a whole to understand that we're doing our jobs, and I think it's unfortunate that we found so many OVIs, but I also think that we're doing something about it, and people are getting upset because we're starting to get to a point where people have to make a decision and change. And I think that's an important place to be when we are trying to do something like this. Our foremost goal is to make the city of Kirtland safe for everybody. And traffic enforcement is unfortunately one of those areas that, like it or not, it makes the city safer. It makes people want to come to the city, but it also makes people mad, and I understand that. I'm empathetic to those types of things, and I understand that nobody wants to get a citation, and I feel bad for people when they do, but I also believe that we need to have a level of accountability, not only for ourselves, but for each other, and I think that's what I preach to the men and women here, and that's what they do. If we look at our traffic stops, we issued, out of that 3,500 stops last year, 44% of those we issued a citation on. But if you break that number down even more, it's less because there are people for driving under suspension, OVI, other things, that do receive multiple citations on one citation. So that number is probably down in the 30th percentile to some degree. So you have almost a 70% chance of walking away from a traffic stop with a warning in the city of Kirtland. Some of these phone calls, I've been told that I'm forcing our officers to write citations, that I'm giving bonuses to officers for OVIs. And to my knowledge, Lewis hasn't written a check yet to anybody over here, so they're probably all expecting something now. But, I don't know how these things start, but they're hearing it too. When they stop in at bars to say hi, they stop into eateries to say hi, they start getting negative feedback from the community because of all the rumors that are going around. And, the reason I sit here and do this is because I want to dispel those rumors, because they're not true. You don't have a group of men and women, I would put them up against any other department in Lake County for the care and concern that they actually have for the community. And I wouldn't replace one of them for another person because each of them brings value to this city. And there's nothing that you can do to replace that. But I want to make sure that they understand that I'm going to stand here and support what they're doing because it's the right thing to do. And, this isn't something that I want to do in an open session, but because of all the kickback I've been getting recently, I feel it's something that does need to be addressed. But in terms of that, I guess that'll conclude my report for tonight. I'm certainly open for any questions. And what I would point out to the community is I'm always open for a conversation. If you feel like you didn't get a fair shake, I'm here to investigate that. They know that we hold our officers accountable. When somebody makes mistakes, they're held accountable for it. We try to make course corrections. We have new officers, we have older officers, and we're human. We're going to make mistakes. Our judgment might be not what it should be at times, but that's my job, is to let me know that you feel like that judgment was an error, and it's my job to look at it and to make a decision on whether or not we did something, that was wrong. And we certainly will hold our own accountable if they do something wrong. But by and large, every one of these men and women that are standing here are doing an outstanding job. They come in. The most dangerous part of policing is traffic stops, and they have a commitment to go out there and do it anyways, despite the danger. We had an officer get spit in the face over the weekend because he had to make an arrest for a drunk driver. There's things that we have to deal with that they're not glamorous, and I think it's very important that they are recognized for that, and that we understand that your police department is here trying to do the right thing for everybody in this community. So if there was any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Chief McAllister. Any questions for Chief McAllister?
I got one. A lot of neighboring cities are having cameras installed. Do you think that's something down the line that you foresee Kirtland putting in place?
I certainly think it's a good idea, and it's something we can discuss. The pricing on the cameras is rather expensive. The flock system that's out there now, there's a reoccurring cost and there's an installation cost, and we'd have to sit down and do analysis on the city, but I would certainly support it, and I think it's a good program to have. I can tell you firsthand, we've been a part of an MOU with Flock, which allows us to go onto their cameras and use what neighboring cities have. We've solved a bunch of crimes just from being able to access other people's cameras.
Yeah.
I think having those in the city would elevate us to that next level where we can actually do more with the people that we have. We only have 12 people on this department that are full-time, so leveraging technology and other things for us to give the best service, I always think is a good idea moving forward.
Chief, don't you think with everything going on right now, it's just another added protection to the officers to have cameras in the cars? I mean, some of these, we just talked about one of the issues this evening. I just think having cameras in the car is another protection for them.
I agree. Each of the officers wears body cameras when they're on their stops. We do that. Getting the in-car cameras is something I'm looking at too, because, we get the complaints. We don't necessarily see the violations. I read the reports. I know what violations the officers are observing. But for full transparency, let's get the in-car system so we can see those violations, what the officers were stopping for. That way, when people are complaining that our officers are doing something improprietous, that we have it on video and this is what they saw. That's the new standard, is to have it on video.
Can you talk a little bit about when a ticket isn't issued, some of the interventions that you guys, the ways that you employ intervention, and if you feel like that's successful?
Sure. The traffic to us is a community engagement strategy. The reason most people are walking away with a warning is because we know that most people probably just need a warning. They need a reminder, and we want to create a good experience for people on traffic stops. We want people to walk away and feel like they got a fair deal. And when that next police officer stops them, they don't have a grudge. They don't feel like there's an axe to grind. And that's our mentality here, is what do we do to pay it forward every time we have an interaction with somebody? Jamie always says it best, community policing is an action word for this police department. And we try to ingrain that in every one of our policing strategies to make sure that the public is given the fairest experience possible. There are people we have to cite. We've had accidents where I was told to tear up tickets, but our accident policy says that after the officer investigates, that they should issue a citation if they can determine who's at fault for the accident. And that's a best practice. This is from Lexipol, and they're telling me that, well, this other police officer I know said that you didn't have to do that. I'm like, well, officers are given discretion. That word should gives them discretion. It doesn't say shall issue a citation. So I don't mandate anything, but the best practice is, because it's covering that party that was injured, the party that had the vehicle damage, by citing that person, it assigns fault. It helps the insurance companies close the case, and it prevents unnecessary litigation in court when one person starts trying to fight and say that that wasn't what happened. So it's us covering all of our bases and trying to do the right thing to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the community, even though we know one of the parties doesn't like the outcome. But to finish answering your question, you know, the warnings are a big thing. We also have the inspection citation program, where if you have an expired plate, expired license, a headlight out, any of those things, we will issue you a citation and give you a waiver period to have that thing repaired. You bring that citation back to us and we'll tear it up and void it out. You know, asking me to tear up a citation, that's a public record, and that's a felony violation, because now I've just tampered with the record, and I'm not going to put myself in that position to, you know, for anybody in the community. It's not worth my job to tear something up because somebody thinks that's the right thing to do. But thank you for that.
Chief, just to be clear on that, the equipment violations that you might observe, if the way the police department has it, if somebody, they'll give somebody a certain period of time to get it fixed. If they come back, then what they will do is not issue the citation to the court. And then, so that's how that works.
We technically, I write void on it and sign it, thing repaired. So that's different than ripping up a moving violation or something like that.
Exactly.
Correct.
Chief, I just wanted to mention regarding the flock, it's now a policy within ODOT to allow flock systems within the LA of interstates. If you weren't aware of that, now District 12 is now permitting that, so. there'll be more
Well, the
information.
issue we actually have going into this year is Flock is terminating all the MOUs with agencies that don't have their systems. So as of this year, we'll be losing access to that program. So what we'll have to try to do is network with other police departments that do have the program to see if they're willing to assist us on investigations if we're trying to solve something. So that's something we have to deal with. It's, you know, kind of be a reality of it is they've been in the game long enough that they're now kind of dictating what the rules are going to be. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but, you know,
So
that's
I'm
where
sorry,
we're at.
why are we losing that access? Because of what?
They've chosen not to extend the MOU that we had with them that was granting us access for free. So they recognized that we didn't have them, and they said, okay, you can use them for this period of time.
So they're forcing us into trying to buy them, then, so to speak. Okay.
Absolutely.
But to that point, if you're, you don't have a direct MOU with Flock, you can have a direct MOU with adjacent police departments that they would notify or access you if there was hits on that then?
No, they wouldn't go that far. It would have to be us if we were asking for for them to help us with an investigative tool. Like Willoughby Dispatch isn't going to notify us or anything if, well, let's say Willoughby's camera got a hit and it was coming toward our city. They're going to notify Willoughby Police Department of that, but they don't have us looped into that program.
Okay. Yeah, any other questions for Chief McAllister pertaining to the report? And thank all the officers for coming in today. Much appreciated. I've gotten to know most all of you over my 8 years here. It's always been a pleasure. And here, you guys thought they were in here for you guys today, too. You got a recruiting class right up here with the Boy Scouts, so I would hit this stuff pretty hard over here, so.
Chief, I just appreciate the time of you going through that tonight. Thank you.
And Chief, since we, can you touch on, yesterday we had a couple break-ins, if you could kind of explain what that whole situation was with Willoughby. We had a couple, I believe, in our park systems.
Sure. The Metro Parks had some vehicle break-ins, smash and grabs. Do any of you guys remember the number of cars exactly? Did we ever get that? So 4 vehicles. So pulled up, smashed out windows, took purses, other stuff. The information we have is generally, it seems like one of these out-of-state groups that are doing similar robberies in another, or burglaries in another state, and they're flying in here, renting a car, and then targeting metro parks because the park systems are bigger, less policing because they're spread out more over those areas, and then they're breaking into the vehicles. After that, they will go out, clone the credit cards, send somebody into the store to purchase gift cards and other things. So it's kind of a crime syndicate that does go around. It makes it around. We had this happen once last year up Chapin, and I know we had another one. I think I'm going to change that to twice. We did have another one up at Farm Parks. So it seems like once, twice a year, we do have an incident like this.
And they also hit, I believe, was it Willoughby over Toddfield, or a couple of parks over there too?
I know they hit multiple locations.
Okay.
So
What are they, obviously, people don't carry as much cash as they used to, so these people going in with the credit card stolen, and personally, is that the majority of the
yeah, it's generally the
total
credit,
cost of the theft, so to speak?
whatever's in the purse. That's
Gotcha, okay.
That's it. But they did give chase in Kirtland. Our officers turned around to initiate a stop. The car went through the intersection of 6 and 306 at about 80 miles an hour. When the officer turned around, he realized there's no way to even catch up to it at that point. He wasn't willing to put other people's lives in jeopardy for that. But the car ended up crashing, I believe, in Euclid. They did find the vehicle. I don't know if they actually made any arrests on it or not.
Thank you, Chief. And sorry, it's a general question. I just forgot what it was exactly. So, any other questions for Chief McAllister? Thank you, Chief. Thank you, officers. Okay. On to Mr. Fernaro.
Good evening, everybody. I'll be brief. Again, I want to thank the crews. They do an outstanding job. We have been ditching. That mini excavator we purchased last year is usually on the road pretty much 3 times a week. We're working on budget stuff, and me and Mr. Courtney are working on stormwater projects and preparing for Saturday's meeting.
Speaking of, did bids go out then, or did anybody put in bids for the Old Town project? Did those go out, go open for bid 2 weeks ago?
They did.
Oh.
I think Mr. Courtney reported on that last week.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Any question for Mr. Fernaro?
Ditching and why we do that? Can you explain ditching and why we do that?
It's our main course of fighting stormwater issues and roadway issues. So if our culverts are blocked, that water sits on the road edge, gets underneath the pavement, starts cracking our pavement. So huge part of our stormwater control.
Awesome, thank you.
And Julie, pertaining to that, generally, would you say 70-80% of that's going to be open culverts, and the other 10-20%, are you doing jetting on actual, enclosed sewers, or is almost the majority of it open culverts?
Majority open culvert.
Gotcha.
Council passed a resolution last year for us to go to the residents that have blocked drive pipes. So that will be coming out next month. They have 3 months to fix their drive pipes. So we could ditch all we want, but if we have failing drive pipes, that water stops right at the driveways.
Ron fixed his finally, so he got his 3rd notice from the city, and he had to take care of it. Any more questions for Mr. Fernaro? I was going to say on to Mr. Courtney, but Mr. Courtney isn't with us today. Mr. Lallo.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. We do have a couple pieces of legislation that I ask you to consider. We have 24-R8, which is the MOU with the police department. This really is just cleaning up and auditing, for auditing purposes, for longevity payments for the officers that achieved their longevity milestones in 2023. It just allows the city to make that payment this year because the CBA is expired. And because we're changing the way in which longevity payments are made, rather than January of the following year, from here on out, it's going to be on the actual anniversary date. So this just cleans up the transition between the old CBA and this new one. So I do ask that that be be passed. You also have 24-09, which is the collective bargaining agreement for 3 years with the fire department. It mirrors probably just about every change that was also in the police department's CBA that was previously passed. So I can tell you, working with both unions was a pleasure. I know, I think everybody knows that it's just a struggle to find the right balance for fiscal responsibility, but also ensuring that the employees are adequately compensated and taken care of. But I think dealing with the various representatives was a overall positive experience. So I ask that you address that legislation. We do have 2 cases in litigation right now. I did brief you. Actually, 3 cases in litigation. I apologize. The one with the former chief is still pending. I'm actually just reviewing a brief that is about to be filed on behalf of the city. From our retained counsel on that, we have the 2 other cases. One from a person with a pending traffic case in Willoughby Municipal Court, filed a case in Lake County Court of Common Pleas. And then you also have the appeal of the zoning permit denial, and that is currently pending in the 11th District Court of Appeals. So lastly, anecdotal evidence. There was a mention about that smash and grab in Chapin Woods. That victim actually just found her purse in a ditch in Concord Township about a week and a half ago. And I think that was about 7 months earlier that it was taken. Somebody they were doing ditch work. They were ditching, and one of the roadside workers found it and got her information and contacted her. So, but there were still some things that were missing, obviously. But yeah, it's unfortunate, that you go through that and to have that security violated. But hopefully the culprits will be caught and swiftly brought to justice.
Oh, pertaining to that, actually, Mr. Lallo, that question for Chief McAllister and yourself. The parks are generally have their own. You have the Lake County, and then Holden's got their own private.
Correct.
Obviously, I know we have understandings, with them if they call a request. How often? So we generally aren't going to be going on their property, other than maybe spinning the vehicle around to change directions or something. We generally don't go through there at night, so to speak, or do we on occasion?
Well, the metro parks, they don't generally patrol at nighttime, so they're not on duty. So we kind of take that over for them and do nighttime patrols at the park. But during the day and stuff, we'll drive through and check things and we'll report things as if we see them. We can take action. It's still within the city of Kirtland. We can stop, contact the metro parks, have them come in and take over, since it would technically be their crime scene if we were to stumble across it. But we'll always work hand in hand with whatever agency it is, however we can.
And generally, obviously, break-ins are going to be during the day when the park is theoretically open, so you're usually not going to see that at nighttime. Okay, appreciate that, Chief. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Lallo, for, I know there's a lot of work that goes into these contractual things that ever happen every 3 years. And in case the Boy Scouts don't know, with the police and fire, obviously the chiefs are considered administrative, so they work alongside with Mr. Lallo when they negotiate these contracts. And generally, how is it? The lieutenants are considered are the lieutenants on police and fire part of the union then too? On both sides?
For police, he's pulled out of the contract. He's still given the benefits of it, but he's not actually a member of the bargaining unit.
Oh, okay. Thank you much. Any questions for Mr. Lallo? At this time. Ms. Zeri, anything going on at the Community Senior Center?
Good evening, everyone. Just a few quick updates. We begin our year in terms of membership in October, so our members are able to renew for the next calendar year beginning in October. So as of October and maybe this afternoon, we so far for 2024 have about 410 members of the Senior Center. Last year we ended with probably 730, something like that. So we're on pretty good pace as people start renewing and coming back. We have also had 60 brand new members sign up since October. So it's definitely picking up down there at 7,900. A lot of our events are selling out, so people are trying to get in sooner to sign up for them, which is a good problem for us to have. And the only other update, we got word recently that we received $5,000 in a grant that we had applied for through the commissioner's office. They got these funds through the state for healthy living for older Ohioans. So with those funds, we will be beginning a grief support group at the senior center. The hope is to train a volunteer to moderate at least once a month, not just for bereavement, but for any kind of grief. If someone has to put a spouse into assisted living, they have a child that's fighting an addiction, grief comes in all shapes. And so we'll address a lot of those in that support group. And the hope eventually is to also open that up in the evenings to anyone in the community who would like to join us. So those are my quick updates. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Zeri. Any questions for Ms. Zeri?
I have two quick questions. One, out of that 730, how many were non-residents of Kirtland?
We have about 2/3 residents, 1/3 not. I can get the exact numbers to you. In July of last year, the commissioner's office provided, it's called My Senior Center. It's a software program for all of the senior centers, the 9 of us in Lake County. So we have a much better tracking software system that we didn't have to pay for. So we very much appreciate that. Everyone signs in as they come in. So I can get exact numbers for you as well. But I think it's about 2/3, 1/3 Kirtland residents.
That's fine. I just wanted a rough number. And then from that, is there a different fee, membership fee for non-residents? Or
It's $2 more for non-residents.
$2.
So yes, it is.
What's the current fee to meet? I'm close.
It's 55 and over. For the first year for residents, calendar year, it's $10, and then it's $5 every year for renewal. For a non-resident, it's $12 and $7. It's kind of the best deal in town.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Zeri? Thank you, Teresa. Okay, on to mayor's reports.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. First, want to welcome Kirtland Scout Troop 286 here. Always good to see a lot of you guys. I get to see you a few times throughout the year, and just want to thank you in advance for your past work and your future work that you do here for our community. Your troop does a ton, and it means a lot to the city of Kirtland. So, thank you guys for being here, and thanks for all you do. Also, I would like to congratulate Mr. Keith McCrory. He was our Kirtland Kiwanis Citizen of the Year. I had a chance to attend that event a week or two ago and bring a proclamation for celebrating Mr. McCrory's hard work and all of his volunteerism here in the city. So congratulations to Keith. He's a keeper, as they say. Louis Slapnicker he's over in finance, currently working on the budget, actually. It's a lot of work getting the previous year closed and then the new year open. And now, since the last time we met, I've met personally with all the department heads related to budget discussions, kind of fielding some of the most pertinent and most important pieces of what we hope to get in the budget, and paring some of that stuff down here over the course of the next week or two. I'll be working with Louis, and then next week, I think all of us have individual meetings again with Louis this time over the course of the next week. So thanks to department heads for their hard work, with presenting the needs for the departments, and then just their patience as we work through this. And so I think we'll have our first reading of the budget at our next meeting. Thanks to Chairman Dank. I think we were all here, or most of us were here last month for the joint meeting with Planning and Zoning and the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Dank always does a great job running that meeting. Kind of, it's a year in review type thing. So certainly appreciate his help on that. Would like to personally thank Ms. Zeri for going out and getting that grant, and then coming up with the idea for a grief support program for our seniors. I think that's I was thinking outside the box, and certainly she has the pulse up there and saw the need, and so thank her for executing that and making that happen. Next week, right here in council chambers on 2/13 on Tuesday from 6 to 8, there will be a meeting with Lake County Planning and Development. This meeting will be specifically related to the Old Town Sewer Project, and specifically related to potential income eligible assistance for some of the folks over in that area. Teresa did put up a post on our website. We've been working with Rhea Benton over at the Lake County Department of Planning. Rhea will be here as well as some other folks from the county. And this will be so with our post on our city website and Facebook page, you can kind of get an idea of where some of the income thresholds for people that might be eligible for some assistance when it comes to the lateral tie-ins on the Old Town Sewer project. So thanks to the commissioners. I think we talked about this a few times last year, but the commissioners did grant up to $250,000 for assistance in those laterals. So they'll be up here kind of walking folks through, discussing not only the income eligibility, but then the process by which they can, work to get a contractor for that as that program starts to roll out. So if you field any questions and you want to direct them to either myself or Missouri, or certainly Rhea Benton, her contact information's on that post as well. But if they're not sure where they are in terms of income eligibility, when they look at the website and those thresholds, certainly just have them, encourage them to come up here and have that conversation and find out. And then, certainly want to thank Chief McAllister for his very hard work in that annual report. It's the second year we've seen that report in that kind of format. And, it's obviously clearly, I think it was 42 pages or more, 50 pages of, his own work. And I know the help of Lieutenant Fisher and others in the department. And I think Chief said it very well before. We've got a lot of hard-working, dedicated people in the city, and I wouldn't trade any one of our officers that we have either. I think we've built a heck of a police force here over the last couple of years. We had all the ingredients, and now with Chief's leadership, the city is being very well served in an effort to make the city safer and stronger. That's what we get paid to come out here and do. That's should be our first and foremost, priority. And I think we're doing it very well. So thank you to Chief for that report and his kind of overview tonight and talking about the kind of, some of the specific statistics that, and how we get there and why those are important. And thanks to council people for, reaching out to myself and the chief. And, I think all of our department heads have done a phenomenal job of, when a council person has something of concern or it's being brought to them from a resident standpoint, of bringing it forward to myself and the department heads. And, it's kind of an open door policy, and I don't know if that's the case in all cities, but thanks to the council people for bringing those concerns or thoughts or ideas to us at various times. And thanks to, again, just to the chief for laying it all out there tonight, and all of our officers that came in support of that report and for what they all do. So with nothing else from me, I'm certainly open for questions, comments.
Again, the meeting pertaining to the sewers, what day was that again?
Tuesday, the 13th.
2/13, not Tuesday? Okay, thank you.
6 to 8.
6 to 8, okay. Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for Mayor Potter? Thank you, Mayor. Okay, on to standing committee reports. I don't believe we have any current standing committee reports, but I do believe we have a service standing committee coming up 2/10/24, correct? Is that Mr. Fenstermaker in charge of that now?
Which one?
The service?
Yes.
Okay. That'll be 2/10, that's this Saturday, correct, at 11 a.m., and we will be meeting here for that. And that is pertaining to, Mr. Fernaro, what was that pertaining to again?
PMG's report.
Okay. Oh, gotcha, the road report, gotcha. Any other committees coming up? Not at this time? Okay, correspondence. I received correspondence pertaining to liquor license. Mr. Lalo, is this something we need to approve today then? Is this?
If you have objections, we need to notify the Division of Liquor.
Just want to, basically, this is just the the old Circle K Cortland Mart down there being transferred from, second time it's being transferred? Is there another new ownership on that exactly?
I don't know.
It's been there forever.
Transfer or is it a permit renewal?
Was this
Transfer? Yeah.
transfer? Yeah, from PRMD Corporation, or to PRMD Corporation,
From Ohio Mart Group?
ERA Kirtland Food Mart, 8232
So,
Euclid.
If I'm not mistaken,
What was it?
I am so sorry, Ms. Zeri. I hope one day you could forgive me. But I believe that, yes, there's an entity that came in and purchased that, that store. And,
Gotcha,
and I
okay.
think they presented plans to planning and zoning months ago about that, with potential concepts for
Gotcha, okay.
expansion. So yes, that would fall in line with the transfer and that.
Okay, and basically this permit has been there forever.
Correct.
Going back to the old Cortland Mart, and I don't know how long that was set there even previous. Recommendation that we approve this today, or?
I mean, obviously, I have no say in it. We haven't.
don't
I
have
think
any-
the only call that I can remember was an armed robbery that took place at that location a couple years ago. But I haven't heard anything with underage sales or any types of issues where the permit holder was really at fault for anything over there.
So we don't have to approve this, just only if there's complaints per se, right, on this?
Essentially, and I think council has done things in the past to, Ms. Rowley, you might want to help me on this.
In the past, yes, they have requested hearings in certain cases when there was some objection. If there's no objection, then there's no action required.
Okay.
There you go.
Is there any objection from anybody on council?
Council President, I did do a records check when the initial request came in, and everything came back clear on the owner, and the business
Thank
has
you,
been
Chief.
fine.
And I'd imagine we're going to be getting another transfer of across the street, I believe, is going to be transferring ownership.
That is
Or just have recently, so,
Correct.
okay. Just one more, I believe, was just purchased at so, okay, we'll be seeing that also, probably the next meeting, I'd imagine? Or,
It all
okay.
depends.
Okay, very good. So that's all I need to do with that then,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lello? Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, on to, that's it for correspondence. Denise, there was nothing else?
No.
Correct? Public comments on matters not on the agenda. I would like to open it up to Boy Scout Troop 286. If you guys like to present what you guys' projects got going on this year, who's going for Eagle Scouts, give us an update.
I'm not that good at public speaking, so I'll keep this brief. I am Josh. I'm 16.
You can state your name and address, please. You got to state your name and address just for formal, yeah. You're not going to jail or the cops aren't going to come back and just got to state.
Okay, I'm Josh. I live at 9504 Chillicothe Road. I'm 16 years old, and I am the senior patrol leader of Troop 286. Some things that we're looking forward to doing is a spring camporee, which is going to happen sometime in April, and I have to look at the dates. And then, of course, we're doing all sorts of things around the community for May and June. Memorial Day with the flags, and then the Strawberry Festival, the parade, the dunk tank. And then after that, we're going to go to summer camp back in Beaumont in July, and then we're hoping to go whitewater rafting again this year because we had so much fun on our last trip.
Were you go West Virginia down for that, Whitewater?
Yeah.
Where's the Jamboree at that you were talking about doing? Where do they do that at?
Beaumont as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we go there a lot. They have a really good merit badge program. They have a lot to offer.
Where do the troops do firearms training at? Don't you guys do rifle?
Yeah, we do some rifle. We don't really have firearm training. I don't really know.
Oh, okay.
They do go over like safety and stuff, but
Oh, okay.
we just,
Well, thank you.
thank you.
Any questions? Thank you so much. Best of luck this year, guys. Okay, on to actually, old business. There's none at this time. On to new business. Open it up for public comments on agenda items of new business. If there's any public comments. Not at this time. Okay, on to ordinance number 24-0-7. An ordinance authorizing all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC, 2024 Energized Community Grant and declaring an emergency. We're going to let this go to another reading. Actually, Mayor, did you want to speak on this at all? This is, I actually was going to have a couple questions for Lewis, but we could wait till next reading on this one then.
Yeah, this is the grant that we receive every year, I think, since we've been involved, you and I here. Maybe Mr. Schultz can speak to how much further back it went beyond that, but a long time. So we receive roughly $30,000 annually from NOPEC, and, you know, highlighting some projects. It's helped us get LED lighting in all of our buildings. You have to use it for kind of an energy efficiency type, project, right? So LEDs, last year we were able to fund the high efficiency heaters up in the service department garage. So that was a big help. Those are the two big ones in the last handful of years, but, certainly you don't have to pass it tonight. I don't think there's any reason that it has to go tonight, but it is, it's really just for accepting the.
Is it the date? Is it date dependent at all? It's to be in at all, Mr. Farrell?
I don't think so.
We have time.
Okay.
For LED stuff, Chief Hutton, did we do both the fire departments with that or no? Also? Okay.
Mayor, any projects in mind with the use of these funds right now, or?
Joe had mentioned a couple to me. Oh, that's right. Stuff for the new bathroom, high efficiency kind of, whether it's the skylight, the toilets, low flow toilets, and lighting in that restroom up there. I think it's kind of what we're thinking this year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, to let this go to the second reading then on this one? Okay. Okay, on to resolution number 24-R-8, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Kirtland Police Department and the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association for resolution of a dispute regarding longevity pay and declaring an emergency. That was basically what Mr. Lalla brought up before, just as opposed to doing it all at the beginning of the year was one of them, that you get it at the year where your start date was whenever you started on a police department. Obviously, that probably works out a little bit better for accounting, I'd imagine, too. That's more spread out through the year as opposed to all blocked out in January, too. For just accounting purposes, because that's, everybody starts different dates, I'd imagine, or?
I think so. I think this cleans everything up. It puts everything on,
You don't have
on a good schedule.
bigger lump sum all in January, although we're on encumbrances anyhow, so it all gets encumbered anyhow. Any questions or comments on this? Going to need a motion to waive the 3 readings.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
And on to a motion to declare an emergency.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Okay, on to ordinance number 24-0-9, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Kirtland Professional Firefighters Local 3735 and declaring an emergency.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Thank you. On to council comments. Any council comments? Not at this time. Continuing concerns. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second. Sorry, you get a second? Who do we get the second from?
Second it.
Okay. So, all in favor?